going to preview the 2-seed Iowa versus 5-seed Louisville women's basketball game as an Elite 8 matchup. The game will take place at 8 p.m. Central Time on ESPN tomorrow. And Louisville is 26-11 on the year, while Iowa is 29-6. And they didn't win the Big Ten regular season title, but they won the Big Ten tournament. So, what are some players to keep an eye on at Iowa? Of course, we know Caitlin Clark. And granted, I don't know about injuries, because they don't show those on websites on who's injured or not. They don't. 26.9 points per game. 7.2 rebounds per game. 8.5 assists per game. 3.9 turnovers per game, though. That needs to be cut down a little bit, but it's better than it has been the last 2 years, though. 1.5 steals per game, 0.6 blocks per game, 38.4% from the three-point line, 83.5% from the free throw line, 2 fouls per game. Monica Zinano, Czinano, I think that's how you pronounce it. 17.4 points per game, 6 point rebounds per game, 6.6. I apologize if I butchered that last name. I do. I mean, it's hard sometimes. 7.7 steals per game, 2.1 turnovers per game, 2.6 fouls per game, 77.7% from the free throw line, but 0 for 1 on threes. You don't have to worry. McKenna Warnock is another player to keep an eye on. 10.9 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, 2 assists per game, 1 steal per game, 2.1 turnovers per game, 2.2 fouls per game, 82.2% from the free throw line, 39% from 3. Kate Martin is another player to keep an eye on. 7.6 points per game, 4.2 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game, 0.8 steals per game, 0.7 turnovers per game, 2 fouls per game, 82.7% from the free throw line, 39.2% on threes. So that's the main numbers you need to look at. Hannah Stuelk, Stuelke. I apologize if I butchered that last name. 6.8 points per game, 4.1 rebounds per game, 1.1 turnovers per game, 1.6 fouls per game, 45.8% from the free throw line on 83 attempts. That's a hack-a-shack type of player you need to do. Do 1 for 6 on threes, which is 16.7%. So, not a 3-point shooter. You don't have to think about her. Gabby Marshall is another player to keep an eye on. 6 points per game. 1.5 steals per game, 0.8 turnovers per game, 1.2 fouls per game, 7 for 14 on free throws, 53 for 140 on threes, which is 37.9%. Molly Davis is another player to keep an eye on. 4 points per game, 1.1 turnovers per game, 0.7 steals per game, 1.4 fouls per game, 87.5% from the free throw line, 16 for 50 on threes. That's the main numbers you gotta focus on. I want to check on a few players that in this one player that I don't. Yeah, she did not play Taylor McCabe last game, so I'm gonna go over like Cindy Afalter is the next player to keep an eye on because she plays more minutes and more. I mean, no, not just minutes, but more games this year. 3 points per game, 2.5 rebounds per game, 0.6 turnovers per game, 0.9 fouls per game, 85.3% from the free throw line, 5 for 24 on threes, which is 24.8%. That's in 10.9 minutes. So, and I'm going to double check this last player, but she's played in 29 games this year. Asin O'Grady. Yeah, I'm going to as well. 2 points per game. That's it. 1 for 1 on threes, 6 for 12 on free throws. That's all the numbers you need to know on that player. Yeah, everything else is not much. Now, for Louisville, am I shocked that made this far? Well, if they would have played a 1 seed, maybe they would have been eliminated, but I knew they would beat Texas. I knew it in the second round. Obviously, the best player is Haley Van Lith, 19.5 points per game, 4.6 rebounds per game, 3.2 assists per game, 3.6 turnovers per game, 1.9 fouls per game, 87.8% from the free throw line. Free throw line, 29.1% on threes, 189 attempts. Chrislyn Carr, she was a former Texas Tech player, and she was actually at Baylor for 1 semester before Kim Mulkey left. But then she left after that 1 semester to go to Syracuse, and now she's at Louisville. So 11 points per game, 2.3 rebounds per game, 2.6 assists per game, 1.1 steals per game, 1.9 fouls, turnovers per game, 2 fouls per game, 89.5% from the free throw line, 42.3% from 3. Morgan Jones, 9 points per game, 4.4 rebounds per game, 0.6 turnovers per game, 0.8 blocks per game, 1 steal per game, 2 fouls per game, 69.1% from the free throw line, 1 for 6 on 3, 16.7%. I wouldn't worry about her as a shooter. Olivia Cochran is the next player to keep an eye on. 8.1 points per game, 6.3 rebounds per game, 0.6 steals per game, 0.6 blocks per game, 1.8 turnovers per game, 2.9 fouls per game, 2 for 8 on threes, 64.9% for the free throw line on 94 attempts. Mikessa Robinson, 6.3 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 4.2 assists per game, 1.9 steals per game, 1.8 turnovers per game, 2.2 fouls per game, 80.2% from the free throw line. So I'm pretty sure the player above her in terms of stats, she's done for a year. Yep. Kind of like what I thought. Actually, she transferred out, so out of Oklahoma to come to Louisville. Liz Dixon, 5.2 points per game, 3.9 rebounds per game, 0.9 blocks per game, 0.8 turnovers per game, 1.9 fouls per game, 29 for 40 on free throws, 72.5%. That's all the numbers you need to know. And by the way, on that transfer player, maybe, I don't know if she's at Oklahoma right now or Louisville. Either way, she's not playing. Hasn't played since November 30th. So, Mariah Russell is the next player to keep an eye on. 4.7 points per game, 2.4 rebounds per game, 0.9 steals per game, 0.8 turnovers per game, 1.6 fouls per game, 37.3% from the 3-point line, 18 for 23 on free throws, 78.3%. That's all the numbers you need to know. Nyla Harris is another player to keep an eye on. 4.3 points per game, 3.6 rebounds per game, 1 turnover per game, 1.4 fouls per game, 24 for 49 on free throws, which is 51%. So, and the last player I'm going to mention is Josie Williams, 2.9 points per game, 0.9 fouls per game, 6 for 12 on free throws, 6 for 23 on threes, which is 26.1%. So, yeah, that's all the players you need to know. But I will say this right off the top: You got to limit your foul trouble as much as possible. Of course, you got to make adjustments on the fly. You got to contain the shooters, contain the slashers. Of course, you got to limit points in the paint while getting some. Of course, you got to get some points out of turnovers, second chance points, fast break points, transition points. Of course, you want to limit those as well. You got to take care of the ball. You can't be intimidated by each other. You got to rebound. I mean, it helps to get some rebounds in order to and you gotta have good shot and rebounds in order to get yourself some second chances. Of course, you gotta make your free throws count. Well, you gotta limit all the attempts you can get at the free throw line. So that's most of the keys. And yep, that's kind of what I thought about. Actually, Peyton Verhulst, she's at Oklahoma right now. Yeah, kind of makes sense. She started 8 games for Louisville this year, the first 8, then left. So now I know about that situation, and it's going to be an intriguing game between two great. I mean, Karen Clark and Haley Van Lith, of course, the teams overall as well. So, anyways, if you like this content, like and subscribe, and see you guys later. 5 subscribers, we're on the road to it. Let's go.